The pep band rocking as the doors, as you said, just opened. Fans are filing in. Speaking of fans, here are some dedicated fans right here. They are pumped and they got front row seats to tonight's matchup. First off, take a look behind me. There is an ice hockey rink where there's supposed to be a baseball field here at Nationals Park. Organizers have been spending the last few months getting this event ready. In fact, for the last couple of weeks, they've been working here at Nationals Park preparing for the Winter Classic. But one thing that they can't control is the weather. Andy, for the third straight day, the Redskins had practice in full pads today on what was a gorgeous day 5 of training camp here in Richmond. I guess you could say the third quarterback is the charm after head coach Jay Gruden resorting to his third string QB after Kirk Cousins threw for his 9th interception of the season, capping a miserable first half for the QB. The team going into the locker room amid a chorus of dissatisfaction from the fans, but the boos turned into cheers when Colt McCoy took the field, throwing his first touchdown in nearly 2 years.
WHSV Sports Director David Deguzman following the team for us tonight in Annapolis, Maryland.
An amazing day of football with some amazing weather here in Annapolis is turning to an evening of celebration for some happy Hokies.
He joins us now live from the Convocation Center. David, what's the atmosphere like as we get closer to tip-off?
Well, Gloria, the atmosphere is definitely building. We are under an hour away from tip-off. Let me step out of the shot and show you. So the empty seats you see, those are the reserve seats. So people in those seats are taking their time. But look up above. Those are the students. That's general admission seating, and it is first come, first serve. Usually for men's games, these stands will get half full, but not tonight. We're expecting well over 6,000 fans at the Convo. The road to Frisco never even left Harrisonburg for JMU. For the first time since 2007, FedEx Field behind me is the home for a Thursday night NFL matchup. I'm David Deguzman, live from Landover, Maryland, and I'll have a preview of this primetime game between the Redskins and the Giants. That's next in sports. You are one of 9 returning players. What is it like to come back to Harrisonburg with a mix of old and new faces?
Oh, it's great. You know, it's great coming back, seeing guys from last year.
I think I've lost my breath from all the drama. We hear the screams from the newsroom as this game continues on. The Nationals and Giants playing in a marathon of a game. To give you a hint, there's already been 2 7th-inning stretches. I'll have an update on the game coming up next. And good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Deguzman, joined by Tom Dempsey. We begin tonight with some tough news to report out of Turner Ashby High School. Knights head coach Charlie Newman is in the hospital tonight after collapsing on the field.
Yeah, some scary stuff. Newman originally said he was not feeling well before the incident happened. People at the game say he was seen sitting down on the sidelines before being taken into an ambulance midway through the second quarter.
Coach Newman was taken to Centara RMH. Family as well as school officials are there.
Certainly our thoughts and prayers are with him tonight. Charlie Newman, one of our favorites here on End Zone. We will be sure to update you on this story as it develops. Now, the game did continue after the ambulance left, so let's take a look at how the players would respond without their head coach. They would respond pretty well, actually. An offensive explosion in this one. Let's pick it up in the second half. Off a botched punt, TA taking over and scores on a Cody Warner run that makes it 21-17 Knights. Then in the fourth, after a Rockbridge score, Michael De La Cruz taking it in, so 28-24 Knights with 10 minutes to go. Less than a minute later, though, the Wildcats answer after a long kickoff return. Dylan Sherman takes the handoff 20 yards to the house, so now it's 31-28 Rockbridge. But it would be the Knights' night. Quarterback Mason Fridley calls his own number and reaches over the goal line. This for the game-winning score with less than a minute to go. And on a very emotional night, Turner Ashby winning a thriller over Rockbridge, 35-31. Bill Phipps has been the public address announcer at Clover Hill baseball games for about the last decade and a half. But the Bucs' voice was missing for the last month as Phipps dealt with a brain tumor. Tonight, the veteran returns to the small shed above the wooden seats at the Clover Dome.
I'm overwhelmingly thrilled to be back. I can't wait for tonight. Anytime I miss a Clover Hill game, I miss it as much as I miss anything.
For Bill Phipps, this room that overlooks the field at Buck Bowman Park is his second home.
Never once have I felt like an outsider here. And that's why it's so great. It's community, it's family. The first time I was in this box, I've been family ever since.
But a month into this season, the voice of the Bucs felt different.
I had loss of feeling in my left index finger and left thumb. That was the first symptom. The Thursday night, I went to the emergency room. I called my daughter, and first thing she said was, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "What do you mean, what's wrong with me?" She said, "Well, you're slurring your words."
On June 12th, doctors told Phipps he had a brain tumor.
12 days later, on the 24th, they went in. They cut 80+% of it out. Didn't affect my motor skills at all. I was conversing lucidly when I woke up from anesthesia, and I've had no side effects. I've had no pain.
Instead, Phipps gained perspective, realizing the support he's had from the community while he was away from the microphone.
The outpouring of love and support has just been unbelievable. It's the fact that people take time to do that is so amazing to me.
Tonight, Phipps just has one goal as his voice returns to the loudspeakers.
I don't want to screw it up. Come up, do my job, and enjoy the ball game.
And it is great to see him back. I think everyone is looking forward to hearing his voice again tonight. He says, remember, it's not about me, it's about the team. But I think tonight he'll have a little bit more attention than he's used to.
The concussion conversation is building in this country, changing the game of football for the better.
Yeah, helmets are the last line of defense when it comes to head injuries, but our professor is putting helmets first. And David Deguzman joins us with the role equipment plays in the battle against concussions.
Yeah, you know, the fight has been very messy at times. We've seen lawsuits against the NFL, the NCAA, new laws and rules to protect high school athletes, and then even parents thinking twice about letting their kid take the field. But in a story you'll see only on WHSV, the progress regarding helmets is only beginning.
It's the health topic that's drawn attention from the gridiron to the courtroom.
I've seen a lot of my teammates and a lot of my opponents die over the last few years.
All the way to Capitol Hill.
I think the big issue for us and for every player at every level and in every sport, as was pointed out here, is to make sure they're aware of the issues that come when you have a concussion.
But one Virginia Tech professor is fighting concussions. It's a battle lasting over a decade in the laboratory.
It's going to impact the head.
Stefan Duma works with the Hokies football team, looking to improve the way helmets can protect against concussions since 2003.
We've done, over 10,000 experiments in the past few years, just dropping tests. I mean, if you think every single helmet we test 120 times, there's a lot of helmets out there. So it's a tremendous amount of effort, but it has a huge impact.
Duma developed a helmet rating system in 2011, evaluating different models and how they protect against concussions based on lab testing and research done on the field, where sensor technology is used.
So the on-field work gives us the exposure. So by instrumenting the Virginia Tech football team, we have a very good idea how often the players are hitting the head, what direction, what severity. The most striking thing was how different the helmets were.
Helmets were originally designed to protect athletes from skull fractures. Concussions weren't even on the minds of manufacturers over a decade ago when they designed helmets like this one.
We gave Professor Duma one of the older helmets on the market, and it didn't take long for the expert to give his opinion.
So this is a one-star helmet. It's the Rydell VSR4. This was the workhorse of helmets going into the 90s, 2000. But what people don't realize is it's 20 years old.
What concerned Duma 3 years ago is that this old model was widely used throughout football.
Thomas, end zone, touchdown.
When we came out with our first ratings in 2011, half of Virginia Tech, half of college, half of NFL had this helmet in 2011. It was surprising. My first phone call was to our team physician and head athletic trainer, and because I knew our football team had half of them, the VSR4s. And it was a quick conversation. Okay, we're getting rid of these helmets and we're buying the 5-star helmets.
Manufacturers responded to the research. In 2011, only one helmet on the market had a 5-star rating. Today, that number has grown to 9, giving high school coaches in the Valley a better selection. Chris Dodson coaches Spotswood High School's football team. The program has already replaced a majority of the team's helmets.
Our big key was to get into the same helmet for everybody as much as possible. Now we're at the point this year where we're 85% in the Rydell's 360s. So I think we're using the highest technology helmet that we could use at this point, and we're putting people in great equipment. Accidents are going to happen. But if you can put them in the safest equipment out there and you can educate them to the best, then you got a chance to eliminate a lot of that.
At Moorfield High School in West Virginia, head coach Josh C. is using his budget to protect players.
I took it upon myself that if my kid ever played here, that I wanted them in the best gear, and I've taken our hometown boys and I put them in the best gear that we can afford. And we're up over 40 helmets now. I'm proud of it. That's one of my things that I tell parents.
Back in the lab, Duma knows his work isn't done yet. His next priority is studying younger levels of football.
So right now we don't know enough about youth brains. We don't understand brain injury in the 7, 8-year-old like we understand it in a 20-year-old. It's really an unknown what's happening to the developing brain, what levels it takes to cause injury that we just don't know yet.
Duma is also exploring helmets in other sports, including hockey and lacrosse. As for football, he sees the sport evolving as the concussion debate continues.
You know, people say, oh, football's going to go away. I think this is just the next evolution of football. It's not going to go away. It's immensely popular. But the game's changing for the better. You're taking away the head impacts. That's good.
So I have here 2 helmets, guys. This green one is the older helmet, a Rydell VSR4. Rydell actually doesn't make these anymore. Oh. This is from the late 90s, early 2000s. It's still being used around. And the shiny gray one is the newer Rydell Revolution Speed helmet. And on the outside, you can just tell the difference. The VSR4, a smoother shell, while the Speed has a much more complicated design. This is adding stiffness so it can handle a broad range of impacts on the sides there. Then inside, you can see the padding. Well, you can see here, much thicker than this one. That means it'll absorb hits better. So the goal obviously is to phase out these older helmets for these newer 5-star rated ones.